Before I moved to Chile, I thought I knew exactly what to expect out of coming here. I had done my research, we had visited the country, but still, when I got here, there were some things that surprised me. There are so many things that I wish I would have known before I got here, just so that I wouldn't have been surprised. So I want to share those things with you because I think they're very interesting. First, Spanish in Chile is completely different from any other Spanish in the entire world. Okay, like I pretty much chose level 10 to just start at. So, yes, it's taking me longer to become fluent than what I had hoped for, but once I become fluent, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to understand any other Spanish in the world. Sometimes trying to learn the Chilean Spanish can be really frustrating for me and kind of like discouraging because I feel like, yeah, I have been here a year. Why am I not speaking more fluently? Why am I not getting things faster? But I realized I went on TikTok and I was watching like Mexican Spanish or like Puerto Rican Spanish, and I understood like a lot more of their Spanish than I do a Chilean Spanish. So I think my problem is just that Chilenos talk very fast, they have their very unique words, and it's a completely different accent too. But this is your reminder, if you're trying to learn a language, you can never compare yourself to anybody else that has also learned another language. My husband is extremely fluent in English. He pretty much talks like a native. You can't even really realize that he is foreign when he's in the United States. So I was kind of expecting that for myself after living here, and quickly got a reality check that no, this is a little bit different. And my husband had been studying a lot longer than I had. Too, I've talked about it in some of my other videos, but not everything in Chile is cheaper. A lot of things are, especially the necessary things for daily life. However, I've mentioned earlier, my car was a very big surprise for me. We had to spend about $10,000 to get a car. And also, yes, we could have gotten a smaller car, but we have two kids, so we really needed like a big car to fit everybody and to fit everything for the kids in the car too. So that's why our car was so expensive, but it was very surprising for me. I'm very used to only needing to save a couple $1,000s to get a decent car. But here in Chile, it was saving money for about a year to prepare for our car. So that was different, that was new, and a little bit of a surprise. The other thing, when it comes to what is expensive and what's not, especially if you're really missing some American food here, yeah, anything American being imported here is going to be very expensive. And I know that it's expensive because I know the prices things would normally be in the United States. So it's almost double what I would pay in the United States to buy the same thing here in Chile. So most of the time, unless I'm really desperate and really missing something horribly, I just don't buy American products anymore. And the last thing that really surprised me about how expensive things can be here is the electronics and furniture. We actually haven't really had the opportunity to upgrade any of the things that we've had because, yeah, it's very expensive. And although we do have extra money going into our savings, we're really trying to save that for like an emergency fund or to actually buy our own land someday. So we are trying to just make do with what we have. But here in Chile, the culture is very focused on that, making do with what you have and being happy with what you have. So that is a very different experience for me, and I really love that. I think I'm happier like that. I'm not so worried about buying the next best thing or having the fancy house that everybody dreams of or anything like that. That is a very American culture thing to deal with. But here in Chile, everybody's just happy with what we have and we make it work, and it's great. 3, the people here in Chile are so loving, so helpful, and so kind. I can't stress that enough. Everybody is willing to help you, especially in the countryside of Chile. It is such a warm, welcoming environment that I cannot stress enough. I love it. It has changed my life in the best ways. I am so welcome here. I am so loved here. And that's not something I normally experienced in the US. Even in the countrysides of the US, people are nicer in the countryside versus the city. But it's still very difficult to be social and make new friends in the United States. No matter where you are, it is so hard to break through that barrier and get a new friend. Here in Chile, can I just say, is so much easier. So much easier. And I love that because there are people that I want to get to know better. And although my language is not great, I've still had that opportunity and people have still welcomed me in to give me the opportunity to get to know them. So for that, I'm so grateful and so happy. Chilean friendships are such a unique portion of this culture that I think a lot of people miss when they're talking about these things. But the friendships are just so different, so real, so deep, and you really don't have to worry about like if someone's pretending to be your friend here. Like in the United States, sometimes I would have friends and then we'd leave and they'd go and talk badly about me. But here in Chile, I know people are not like that, and if they are your friend, they're truly your friend and they're going to do anything to support you and help you. For this one might get me in trouble with the Chilenos. The food culture here is so different from what I'm used to. In the United States, especially if we're having like a barbecue, like an asada, yeah, we put a ton of seasonings and sauces and things like that on our meat and all of our food. But here in Chile, we really don't use seasonings like at all. It's like salt, pepper, and oregano. Like that's pretty much it. So sometimes I do miss that portion of the American food culture where it was more of a unique flavor that is not just the meat. But I will say, Chileans know how to cook a barbecue, an asada, in the best way, even though they don't put any seasonings. It's actually really good. When I was first here and I realized we didn't use seasonings, I'm like, oh, that's kind of boring. But then I tried some asada and I was like, yeah, okay, you guys know how to cook meat the right way. Like, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, sometimes I think my American side comes out and just really misses all of the really unique flavors from the United States because their food has very strong flavors, and here in Chile, it's a lot more mild flavors. Like it's just a little bit softer and more relaxed. But I still have learned to enjoy that, and I do appreciate it. And I think the natural food here in Chile just tastes good. I think in the United States, they use all those seasonings because the food is not good. It's full of chemicals. It's not good for you. It doesn't taste good. It's cheap. So here in Chile, we have the blessing of having fruits, vegetables, and meat that is all wonderful quality and it actually tastes good and you don't need to put anything on it to make it taste good. 5. This is something that is still very difficult for me and something I'm still getting used to. We do not use HVAC here in Chile, which means we do not have air conditioning or heating built into the houses. This is really hard for me to adjust to, especially because I have dysautonomia and I'm not healthy. So my body temperature regulation is not great. So in the winter, I feel miserably cold, even though I'm sitting right in front of the estufa. Or in the summer, I'm unbearably hot and my house is so hot no matter what I do. So I spend most of my summer in our pool, frankly. Yeah, to be real with you, that is a very difficult change for me. And especially at nighttime in the winter, it's very complicated for me because I don't know how to keep our house warm while still being safe. Because I know the heaters can be a fire hazard if you're not watching them and you're not careful with them. So I don't feel safe leaving the heaters on at night, but our house becomes freezing at night. So I'm like, what do I do? Okay, this next one is actually really big for me because I am a mom. I have 2 boys, they're very young. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Parenting here in Chile has some very small differences, but they all add up to make it feel very different. The biggest thing I notice here actually is not a bad thing. Children are actually appreciated in the community here in Chile. People do not hate having kids around them just because they're loud or playing or running or whatever. In the United States, it can be very stressful for mothers because when you have young children in public, They're loud, they do unexpected things, they run around, they're crazy. You know how toddlers are if you have kids. And those things that are normal for kids are seen as very inconveniencing for the people in public. So people in public will be very harsh on you if your child is not sitting quietly the whole entire time you're in public. But the other problem is, this is why a lot of American moms right now sit their kids in front of an iPad and they just watch TV the whole time they're in public. Because the moms are trying to keep from having a confrontation with other people, but then their kid is just stuck on an iPad and they're not actually being a kid. It's extremely complicated to try and balance all of that, and it's very stressful. Here in Chile, I feel so much more welcome with my children in public, and almost always, every time I'm in public, somebody tells me my kids are beautiful or cute, or they say hi to my kids. My son is so social, and he says hola to everybody he sees, and they always say it back to him. It's the little things like that, but it just makes us feel safer and more comfortable being in public. We don't feel like we're bothering anybody. Yeah, the next portion of this answer is actually very interesting. I am 25. I had my first son when I was 21 years old. Now here in Chile, everybody's like, no, in the United States, it's very, very normal to have kids in your early to mid 20s. So for me, I'm right on track. This is very normal for what I'm used to. However, yes, I came to Chile and I am the youngest mom that I know. Yeah, that can be a little bit complicated for me sometimes because I do have other friends that are moms, but they are always much older than me. And so sometimes I feel like trying to break through that and become friends with other moms that I meet can be difficult because we are kind of in different stages of life. Although we have kids that are the same age, we are not the same age, so we are not living through the same experience necessarily. It can work out because we relate a lot on parenting very young children, but it takes a very specific personality for me to connect with them in the motherhood way. Now, I always feel like I have to prove myself, or people think that maybe I'm immature or I don't know what I'm doing. So that can be a little bit difficult for me, but I'm kind of used to it at this point. I've been living here for a year, so it's nothing new to me. But yes, a lot of people think I am crazy for having 2 kids at 25. But to me, it's very normal. In the United States, this is super normal. Everybody has kids at this age. Now, this next one is a little bit controversial. I think Chile is pretty safe, but you have to understand the context in which I'm comparing. Of course, we know where I'm coming from. The United States has some very real and dangerous threats. So when I say Chile is safe, I always have people commenting that are like, oh no, wait till you get robbed in the streets of Santiago, or whatever. People break into people's houses here, whatever, things like that. The crime here is very different. But you have to understand too, there's no place in the world that is crime free, that is 100% safe, right? There are bad people everywhere. The problem with and safety in general in the United States is very out of control in this moment. Yes, bad things happen here in Chile. Bad things happen everywhere. We just have to choose what kind of bad things we are comfortable dealing with. So yeah, to me, when people come here in Chile and they take your things or whatever, they steal your phone or whatever, to me, it feels like it's a much more survivable situation here in Chile. Yes, some people are very aggressive, very brutal with how they do that, and you can absolutely get hurt in that situation. I understand. But you have to understand what my comparison is. And when I was living in the United States, seeing situations on the news every day almost, to me, it feels much safer to be put in a situation here in Chile where, yes, maybe something unfortunate happens and it's very scary and traumatic, but you survive it. You can still go home. Whereas in the United States, we are losing hundreds of thousands of people every year to wounds from these situations, and they just their life is over. Like, it's terrifying. So, am I saying Chile is 100% rainbows and sunshine, completely safe? No. No. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be very careful, protect yourself, be prepared for these things, right? Absolutely. But in the United States, how can you prepare for that situation? How can you protect yourself in that situation? I mean, you really can't. So here in Chile, yes, I can do some things to prepare and help myself be protected. I can go in public with only my husband or somebody else to be with me in case I feel unsafe. Things like that. You can be prepared to protect yourself and to put yourself in safer circumstances. But in the United States, you go to a grocery store. I mean, it happens everywhere. Your kid's school. I mean, how do you prepare for that? Okay, sorry guys, this video is extremely long. It's the longest video I've ever made, so I'm sorry. You guys might be tired of listening to me talk, or maybe you love it. If you want more like this, I would absolutely love to make a part 2, so comment down below if you want that. If you haven't already, hit subscribe down below and support my channel. I love that so much, and I appreciate your support so much. If you have any questions or comments, of course leave them down below. I love reading all of them. If you hit that bell down there, it'll notify you when my next video is posted so you never miss them. Thank you guys again for all of the support, and I will see you in our next video. Ciao.
Okay, let's go.